Throughout my life, there's probably two big or main ways that I connect with people: music and motorbikes. And as a kid, had motorcycle and used to ride with my dad and my sister, and that was definitely a kind of family bonding thing. Through my 20s, when I was living in New York, I really, for whatever reason, had kind of put that on hold a bit and really focused on music. And then once I moved down to Sydney, I had now that I guess the means to restart the motorcycle aspect of it. I'm still playing music and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, it's interesting how much that stuff comes back. So in the same way that I used to kind of be able to hang out with my family as a kid, now I have this motorcycle in my 30s, and that has now come back into my life and given a whole new way to connect with others. Yeah, and then kind of growing up as a teenager, we used to go out, my dad, my sister, and I, and go camping, go riding for days. And we always seemed to choose the weirdest places to go. We would go to the Mojave Desert in Death Valley in the summer, or we would go up to, the foothills and the mountains in the winter when it was snowing. So it was never kind of a, pick the thing that was easy to do. And I'm sure my dad probably wanted to go out into the mountains and have this kind of heart-to-heart, son-father, family kind of thing. Yeah, I was 15. I was a little punk kid. I couldn't give a shit less. I was hands jammed in my pocket, looking frowning. My dad's looking all proud with his arm around me. Maybe he and my sister bonded more during those trips, I'm not sure. It was one of those things where you just look at those moments when your life changes and big kinds of things happen. And I've been thinking about getting a bike for years. Thought about it in New York, thought about it in Sydney. And then just one morning, I happened to be in the, maybe desperate enough mindset. And I walked in and I thankfully had enough cash on hand to just go, here, I want that bike. So I got this bike and I just got on it and rode. Or what I remember doing was just riding and riding and riding for hours. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't have anybody with. I was by myself. I just had a single change of clothes in my backpack, and I just did that for days. Yeah, and that was kind of the start of a whole bunch of stuff, because by the time I got back off that trip, I went out and got a new job. Shortly thereafter, started finding other folks to ride with, which has been an amazing thing with the whole Sydney Cafe Racers, and that whole scene was kind of starting up. And that even led further on to meeting Christiana, my girlfriend. So I think there's you look back, when I first had this bike and was just kind of by myself, it was such a pivot point in a whole bunch of new stuff that was going to start in my life. So, there's two kinds of modifications you can do to a bike. Those that are just for aesthetic reasons and those that are performance enhancing. I've done a lot of the aesthetics to the bike as far as, taking off all the fairings, that kind of stuff, changing the lights, these kinds of things. From a performance level, I haven't done too much. The flat side carb, which has been really great, and we've got this really nice exhaust that kind of wraps around the engine slightly in a way more like the kind of an old school Manx style. I had just the Sydney Cafe Racers sticker on the side of the bike to cover a dent. And then it was just a process of kind of going back and finding, just various things you picked up at flea markets and that kind of stuff that just have cool designs. It's all, I think, a constant thing trying to get it, more, streamlined and sleeker, and then try to get more power out of it, and all those things that Cafe Racer is about, right? It's all the power to weight ratios and taking everything off the bike that doesn't make it go faster, and trying to tune something that isn't a big, powerful, modern sports bike. It's something that has just the technology from over a century ago, and have a lot of fun with it. Obviously, the foundation of the Cafe Racer culture is about riding your Cafe Racer motorbike. So, getting involved is really all about making sure your bike's in a state that it can go on rides and getting out with the guys and riding. The cool thing is that quickly expands into, having some really cool people and meeting some great friends, and then doing all the other things that aren't necessarily about motorbike riding. The club now is putting on parties, and we have bands play sometimes and stuff like that. And it's just a lot of people actually just get together to hang out now. And the guys from Sydney Cafe Racers, some of them have become some of my best friends in Australia. I was talking to my dad a couple of years ago about those big life decisions you make, and I told him that you get a lot of that kind of thinking done when you're riding. Riding's interesting because you have these times where you're literally in a helmet, you're in your own world, and you can really start to think about that stuff. And he, I thought I was being all profound and be like, oh, this is why I love riding. I get this kind of stuff done. And he was like, yeah, no, I did the same thing. And he told me the stories about where he used to, when he was deciding, I think even to have me. And, gave a good thought, good think to that he wanted to start this family. And I guess shortly thereafter, I come around, and you fast forward 30 years and I think I'm all deep because I'm doing the same stuff. But I guess it's just these patterns that kind of repeat throughout time.